Can I crack CAT in 6 months? If so, what is the percentile that I need in order to get a call from the top B schools? What should be the study plan that I should follow to get that requisite percentile? This and much more when you catch me on the 21st of May 2023 on the BYJU'S exam prep app as we decode 6 months to CAT 2023. So what's stopping you? Go ahead, register now.
Hi there, good afternoon or rather good noon as usual, and I hope you have gone through the message. The session is going to happen tomorrow 11 a.m. So if you need a 6-month plan to ace CAT 23, you already know where you're supposed to be. So I welcome you to BYJU'S exam prep channel dedicated to your success as an FB aspirant. My name is Vikrant and I am your personal coach for all things related to communication and of course English. And today I plan to go ahead and take you through some more questions, but before that, in case you are new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe to us and press the bell icon so that you do not miss out on a single session that we bring for you. And remember, yesterday somebody asked me about explaining some question types that get asked in the CAT, and this is not the first time that I received the request, and I promised that the next day, that is today, I will take you through 2 such question stems. So if you are somebody who has faced an issue when it comes to understanding a particular question type, well, all that you need to do is attend my sessions, share that with me in the comment box, and I am sure to incorporate it in some session or the other moving forward. So let's go and look at the first such question stem. So CAT 22, this was a question that was found in slot 2. So let's read it and then decode. Based on the passage, we can ignore this because everything that we solve in RC is based on the passage. We can infer that all of the following statements, if true, would weaken the camouflaging adeptness of cephalopods except. So even this is actually fairly misleading, and when you practice a lot, you learn to ignore this as well. So all that we are saying here is that, okay, you've been given 4 statements. So let us assume that each one of the 4 statements is true. So in every strengthening, weakening, etc. question, that's a given that we always assume it to be true. Okay, so if all the 4 are true, then you'd notice all of the following would weaken the camouflaging adeptness of cephalopods. Since you've not read the passage, let's ignore it, let's call it X. Okay, all the following statements would weaken X except. Now what do we mean by weakening? So here it is. You see on your screen there is a table, right? I don't have great drawing skills, but I hope it works. So you notice in every table we happen to have a tabletop, and then we happen to have some legs. Fair enough? Now why am I talking about this? How do we weaken a table? We can weaken a table by breaking its legs, right? That's exactly what weakening an argument is. Now in an argument, the tabletop is nothing but the conclusion, and your legs are nothing but your premises and assumptions. So whenever we are asked to weaken, we are basically asked to locate an answer choice that proves a premise or an assumption incorrect. So according to this question, 3 of the answer choices are going to prove the premises or the assumptions wrong, or if not outright wrong, then they'll at least make them appear questionable, unsound, right? However, one answer choice will not have that effect on the premises, on the legs. It'll either be irrelevant, it'll have no impact at all, or it can go on to strengthen that argument further. So your job is to identify the answer choice that is irrelevant or strengthens. So any option that weakens can be eliminated. So you see that? Pretty straightforward once you get a hang of it. And here is the next question stem. This was found in slot 1. Okay, in my case it was in the second passage. So which one of the following statements, if false, could be seen as contradicting the facts or arguments in the passage? So there is a statement, if it is false, then it contradicts. Okay, so let us say the passage says it is raining. You want to contradict, so what would you do? You'd actually state it was not raining, right? So contradict states the opposite of the passage. Now if you make this true, what will it do? So if the false one contradicts, the true one will actually support, right? Reinforce, state something similar. So instead of reading every answer choice and then saying if false, if this is false, then does it contradict? How about just reading it as it is? How about just thinking of, okay, here is an answer choice. Does it support or reinforce the passage or the information supplied by the passage? If yes, then its opposite is going to contradict. So you can simplify it by turning it into a slightly different, slightly altered equation. Right? So that's how it really works. Then Tarun has a question. What is the exact meaning of camouflage adeptness of cephalopods, coming from the previous slide? Okay, you know what camouflage is? All these, remember all these, a lot of us are fond of wearing the military, the army fatigues. So camouflage is something that helps you blend and hide yourself in the environment. So and adept is you are highly skilled. So cephalopods are a type of creatures. They are highly skilled at blending themselves in the environment where you're not able to identify where they are. And then Mohan has a question. Irrelevant and strengthen both are opposite? Nope, they are not opposites. The opposite of strengthen will be weaken. But in between these two, so a statement, for example, you can be a winner, you can be a loser, but then are there just these two categories of people in the world? You'd also have people who did not even participate in that event, in that race, in that competition. So they are bystanders. So you can be winners, losers, and people who did not participate. Similarly, when it comes to an argument, a given statement can strengthen it, weaken it, or have no impact at all, in which case we'd say it's irrelevant from the perspective of strengthening or weakening. So here the question says 3 of them weaken, 1 does not. So because the question itself says 3 weaken, 1 does not, we are supposed to choose anything that does not weaken, and there are 2 types that do not weaken. The ones that strengthen, the ones that are irrelevant, and that is why we went ahead and broke it down to those 2. So with that taken care of, and a reminder, if you struggle with understanding any question in RC or otherwise, when you read it and like, hey, what am I even supposed to do, or what is being asked here, make sure that you comment here or bring them over to my sessions. I will make sure that I incorporate them into my sessions and help you right there and then. So let's get ahead with our passage. So we'll have one RC passage plus some VA questions today. So here you go. The moment you're done reading it, please let me know in the comment box, and then I can take you forward. Fantastic, Sonali. Good to see that. And here, taking you over to the next paragraph, or the next couple of paragraphs in this case. Okay. Next. Yeah, anybody from the team watching, could you look up Radha Vinod's query once and see if we can answer? Do we have something in the pipelines? I think there must have been a session that had already happened, Radha Vinod. You can go look it up once. Okay, next part. And this is not the end, okay? There are more slides coming. Not all that long, Sonali, 590 words, which is probably, I mean, the longest CAT passage last year was 526 words, 527 words. So a little longer than that, but still in the same ballpark. Okay, Radha Vinod, we'll definitely get back to you on this. Okay, here is the next part. This is the last slide. Hanji, somebody from the team, if you could chime in and tell us if we have something in the pipeline for CMAT, please. Okay, Radha Vinod, Sonali is saying that we've conducted a recent session. So just go through BYJU'S Exam Prep YouTube channel, you should find it there. All right, so we are done with the passage, and here is your first question. What's your take? What's your answer? Sri, we can try it, but then how do I really give it to you over YouTube, you know? Let's see, we can, it's a valid suggestion. I can understand how a PDF is going to be useful. I've tried doing that in a couple of sessions where we uploaded it in a Telegram group and then the link was shared. But we can just implement it a little more rigorously. Let's see. Okay, so let us see. The answer actually can be found in the second paragraph, which tells us about copyright, legal right to own, distribute and profit. Okay, so if I look at it, A is not given and therefore I'd say it is out of scope. Copyright gives the creator the free hand to sue anyone who misuses the technology, probably true. Because it's not explicitly mentioned, but it can be inferred. C is true, but then if I look at D, D incorporates or includes both B and C, and therefore it automatically becomes better than them, and thus the answer should be D. So own plus the other aspects like distribution, aspects like earning profit, aspects like protecting it. Okay, so D covers B and C both. A is not mentioned, so it is best to leave it out, and that is why D is our best answer choice. Next question. So you remember, in case you were there with me yesterday, I told you when it comes to inference questions, go to every answer choice and label it as true, false or can't say on the basis of the information supplied by the passage. Do that and then we'll see. Ready? So let us start labeling. A, Creative Commons license are the best way to improve the quality of the software. See, what we know from the passage is that free distribution helps. Now, Creative Commons license is one such way of distributing it freely, but is it the best way? It is a way, yes. Is it the best way? Cannot be determined, and therefore the label that we should apply is can't say. Let's look at B. Permissive software licenses are nearly identical to Creative Commons licenses. We don't know that. There is one similarity between the two that we are absolutely sure of, and that is both of these are free. But then if you refer to the third and the fourth paragraph respectively, you would notice that there are some things which are different. For instance, in Creative Commons license, it is mentioned that it is free to use and distribute. Permissive software license, is that free to distribute? We don't know. Permissive software licenses, you can modify them. can a Creative Commons license also allow you to modify the software freely? For example, Wikipedia, can we modify it freely? No, so are they nearly identical? I know there is one similarity, but then we do not know that they are similar in most of the other respects as well. In fact, it appears that there are differences too, but on the whole, the label that we apply is can't say. Let's look at C. The free or paid usage of a software entity depends on the kind of license its makers have. Yes, you can have a paid license, you can have a Creative Commons license, you can have a permissive software license, you can have that GNU, GNT something. So yes, the kind of license that you have determines whether you can use it for free or not. Absolutely, so that's true. D. Wikipedia's content can be used freely. True. Without any underlying terms and conditions. No, the paragraph clearly mentions there is a condition. You need to attribute the source. So this part is actually false. And therefore, what do you think should the answer be now? In an inference-based question, if you have an option that is true, and then you have options that are false or can't say, the one that is true is marked as our answer, and that is why the answer here should be C. Okay, and here comes the next question. Main idea. I hope that you were making the mental overview of the passage. So, what is the main idea? Okay, absolutely right. You guys have got this right. B it is. The other options can be easily eliminated, and thus I think I'm completely with you, which means we can save some time and move over to our next question. Question number 4 on your screen. Remember at the beginning we talked about weakening in a little bit of a detail conceptually. Go ahead and apply that while answering this question. Prajwal, I won't say it's a problem solution kind of a passage. I mean, they did not talk about a problem and a resolution. That will put it in the category of an opinionated passage or opinion based passage. I would slot it under an informative passage actually. Okay, so First up, let's start with the claim. The claim is free language has widespread adoption and has huge growth potential. So which of the following weakens it? So we know the passage. The passage says when it is free, it is distributed widely. As a result, top experts or top programmers work on that, and therefore it makes it better, right? That's the context that we have. So let's see. A, if people are allowed to utilize the language for free, then they are most likely to misuse it rather than use it to develop things. Is this relevant? Does it affect any premise or assumption? Does it affect any premise or assumption in that argument? But okay, let's keep it in running. Let's look at B. Free language can seriously deteriorate the chances of the original developer to earn decent money. Once again, out of scope. So B says that, okay, you are right, it'll show growth potential, but what about that fellow who created it? He won't be able to earn money. That's a separate argument altogether. C, despite not providing its services for free, Microsoft still managed to provide quality software solutions and also generated pretty high sums of money. Maybe. Let's keep this in running. D, free language is a barrier to those who wish to own the product solely. Again, irrelevant. So you notice B and D were very easy to rule out, and now we are basically talking about A and C. So which one of these two counters the argument or questions the assumptions involved more thoroughly? That's basically what we are gearing towards. So C gives us an example of a paid software which grew a lot. So if C is true, will that weaken it? And if A is true, will that weaken it? Now you realize both of them are not hitting it directly. I'll tell you why. C says, well, if you are paid, even then you can grow. Great. But what is the claim? If you're free, you can grow. Does it mean that if you're paid, you cannot grow, or vice versa? So that's the problem with C. What is the problem with A? A says people will misuse it. But what has use or misuse got to do with growth potential? You'd still be able to grow. It's not, the question is not even about use or misuse. So in reality, A and C both, none of them actually does a perfect job, but we have to choose the better one. So A, because it is talking about misuse and is not even talking about growth, becomes out of scope. C at least talks about growth of a paid software, which means that you need not keep your language free if you want to grow. It's tangential, I know, but it at least in the same ballpark. And that is why I believe C is going to be better than A. Although, as I said, both of them have their own flaws. C has a minor flaw, and therefore that becomes a better answer choice of the two. So that's why C. So that is why throughout my classes, I always insist that we should work using the process of elimination. There are times when the perfect answer choice is not even there. And as a result, our default is to choose the best option available. Okay. Roy, I think we can continue to become better through our practice. Otherwise, let's compare it with the data interpretation. When it comes to DI and LR, if you are solving a set and you are stuck on a question, what do? You move on. So similarly in RC as well, it's okay to move on. Mark that question for review, jot it down on your scratch pad that you've ruled out B and D and now it's all about A versus C. Mark it for review and then move on. You can always come back later if time permits. Okay? Absolutely, Prajwal, it was a difficult one. अरे कल ही बोल रहे थे लोग आसान है पैसेज तो मुझे लगा भाई तुम एक आध मुश्किल भी ले लो. But we'll gradually, of course, moving forward, I think we'll move towards things which are tougher. And here is one last question based on the passage before we dive into VA. What's your take? Antonym of the word sophisticated as used in the passage. You don't even actually need to refer to the passage. If you are good at vocab, I think you would be able to answer it. Okay, you are absolutely right. The correct answer is B, and thankfully that saves me the trouble of explaining it. And with that, let's move over to our next segment, where what are we supposed to do? Read the directions and quickly tell me what you're supposed to do here. So this is a question type that we simply call paragraph, odd one out. In the exam, you know, these questions give us 5 sentences. One of them is supposed to be marked as the odd one out. Okay, so here is your first such question. And what do you think the answer should be? Sonali, I'll answer what you've asked once this question is discussed and done. Okay, so the correct answer here is 3. 3 is basically, it goes beyond the scope of the paragraph as given to us by the other 4 sentences. So if you look at 1, 2, 4 and 5, all of them talk about Socrates and how he dispelled something, how he proved something wrong. Right? If I were to arrange these other 4 as a paragraph, I will say it will be 2, 4, 1 and 5. 3 is not even talking about that same theme. And now to answer that question, logical fallacy, pretty straightforward. A fallacy, as Pratyusha has said, is a flaw. To make it even more precise, if an argument is fallacious, if an argument has a fallacy, it means that it uses an assumption which is incorrect or questionable. For example, let me give you an argument. How about I do not trust vegetarians because Hitler was a vegetarian. I don't trust vegetarians because Hitler was a vegetarian. Look at this argument. You realize this argument is wrong. Now, once the session gets over, think it over and then try to prove why it is wrong. And you'd realize it has an assumption which is wrong. So that wrong assumption is the fallacy here. Okay. Here is the next question for you. Sonali, okay, I see that. So you're absolutely correct. The answer must be 4. If I arrange the remaining sentences, should be 1, 3, 5 and 2. Fourth is talking about the size of the earth, whereas the rest of them are talking about gravitational force. And here is the next one. Let's see what you choose here. Okay, Prajwal, I see your answer. Roy, yours too. साला रॉय, तेरा नाम देख के गाना याद आता है यार, वो सूरज डूबा है यारो. I think after the session I'd actually have to go listen to that song. It has been quite a long while. It was a good song at that. Okay, so you are absolutely correct. Original answer, Roy, was correct. 5th, and I'll tell you why. Now, if you look at the actual exam and try to locate the source of some of these questions, you'd notice a weird pattern emerging occasionally, and that is when you notice that the examiner has not even picked up sentences from the same paragraph. This happens to be one such instance. So in that case, you have to be a little creative. Now, when I look at 1, 2, 3, 4, all of them are talking about fossils. 5th is talking about fossil fuels, and therefore that is not going to be in sync with the other 4 sentences. Besides, you're also talking about animals here, whereas 1st very clearly talks about paleobotany, plants only. So if we try to arrange the other 4, we'd actually struggle. I think 3 plus 4 is very clearly something that goes together, right? I can also probably put in 2, 1. Records of the history of the world are contained in fossils. So within that, from fossils, you're moving towards plant fossils. But I don't think we'd be able to arrange them as a paragraph per se. Okay. So, but 5th it is because of the difference in theme altogether. So be alert, be aware of those things, and you definitely be able to pick up the right option. However, I'd say 3 and 4 were easy to rule out because both of them are very clearly connected. And 1 also because it sort of gives you the theme, 2 gives you a more generalized theme. So through that process of elimination, we could have arrived at 5th. So that's about the various questions today, and here is something that I want to leave you with. We are not at our best perched at the summit. We are climbers at our best when the way is steep. So if you find the going tough, remember that you are made for this. Okay, and if you want to be one of the toppers, do consider joining our comprehensive program that targets CAT 23. And to make it easy for you to join it, we have a scholarship test happening on 28th of May. Make sure that you or the others that you know benefit from it. And once again, a reminder that we have a session tomorrow at 11 where we talk about a 6-month strategy to the CAT. Please attend it. And for more practice, head over to BYJU'S Exam Prep app where you can go through the section-wise quizzes and continue attending this series. I really have a ball of a time working with you guys. I hope you enjoy it equally well. And if you do, don't forget to like the video before you leave. And yes, subscribe and share. Okay, so that's it from me today. Until we meet each other next, stay safe, stay focused, stay in touch. Keep letting me what you would like to see in the upcoming sessions, and I will deliver. Have a great day ahead.